My name is Gwendolyn. Sitting here on my new couch, looking out at the empty parking spot where my husband's truck once stood, I'm reminded of how my whole world shattered 3 months ago. That was when I opened my mother's purse, and the lies that had built my family life came crashing down. I come from a middle-class family in Seattle. My mother, Penelope, is a 55-year-old high school principal. She's a perfectionist, always in control, and for as long as I can remember, she's been the one making all the financial decisions at home. My father, Reginald, is 60 and runs a small local bookstore. He's a gentle soul who always trusted Mom with money matters. My younger sister, Amelia, is 26. She's an event planner and has a knack for making things look extraordinary. Since she was a kid, she had a certain charm that made her the center of attention. I was the older, responsible sister. I got good grades, took care of my chores, and never caused any trouble. I heard the words, "Gwendolyn, you're the big sister." You have to understand so many times that it became like background noise. A couple of years ago, Amelia got engaged to Leo, a successful tech entrepreneur. Mom went into a frenzy, spending all her time on wedding planning. They scoured the internet, visited countless venues, and picked the most expensive items for the big day. The wedding was set at a luxurious waterfront resort. There were 300 guests, an open bar, a world-renowned band, and a designer gown that cost $9,000. The total wedding bill was a staggering $100,000. During the wedding, I sat at a back table. I watched Mom cry with joy, holding a handkerchief that probably cost half of my monthly income. Amelia looked like a princess, and I was genuinely happy for her. But deep inside, I couldn't help but wonder, when it's my turn, will they do this for me? 6 months later, my boyfriend, Ethan, proposed to me on a hike in the Cascade Mountains. It was a beautiful moment, with the sunset painting the sky orange and pink. He gave me a simple yet stunning diamond ring that he'd saved up for a year to buy. I said yes without a second thought. That night, I called Mom to share the news. There was a brief pause on the other end of the line, and then she said, "Congratulations, honey. Ethan is a great guy. I'm sure you'll have a simple and lovely wedding." After Amelia's wedding, your father and I are still trying to recover financially. She didn't ask about the ring, my plans, or how I felt. 2 weeks later, I summoned the courage to call again and ask if they could help with the wedding, even a little bit. Mom sighed and listed off reasons: bills to pay, a leaky roof, and Grandpa's medical expenses. She then said, "You and Ethan have stable jobs. Amelia needed more support because, well, she's Amelia. You've always been independent, Gwendolyn. You don't need us like she does." I hung up the phone, feeling abandoned. Ethan found me sitting on the edge of the bed, staring blankly at the wall. He put his arm around me and said, "We'll do it ourselves. Together." That night, we sat at the kitchen table and made a spreadsheet. We calculated that we needed at least $35,000 for a decent wedding. With our savings of $7,000, we were still short by almost $28,000. I made a tough decision. The next day, Ethan put his 2017 Jeep Wrangler, which he'd bought with his first paycheck, up for sale. A young couple bought it for $19,000. I watched as he handed over the keys, and I saw the pain in his eyes. He tried to be strong, saying, "It's just a car. You're more important." But we still needed more money. I did something I'd always sworn not to do. I withdrew $9,000 from my 401k. The penalty was $900, and with the taxes, I lost about $2,700 in total. After that, I started picking up every extra shift at the hospital where I work as a registered nurse. I worked during Christmas, New Year's, and every weekend. I watched my colleagues go home to their families while I was stuck at the hospital, holding the hands of dying patients. Amelia and Mom would post pictures on social media of their fancy dinners and outings. I'd see them smiling, having a great time, while I was struggling to make ends meet for my wedding. Finally, by the time of my wedding, we had managed to scrape together $35,000. We had to cancel our dream honeymoon in Bora Bora and replaced it with a 3-day trip to a local cabin. On my wedding day, I woke up early in our small apartment. My dress, a beautiful but affordable one from a local boutique, hung on the closet door. At 6:30 a.m. I got a text from Mom saying she'd be at the ceremony but first had to take Amelia to her spa appointment. I didn't reply. The ceremony was held at a quaint community hall with 70 guests. It was far from the luxurious affair Amelia had. There was no live band, just a DJ. And the bar only served beer and wine with a 1-drink limit. But when I walked down the aisle and saw Ethan standing there, his eyes filled with tears, I felt like the luckiest woman in the world. During the reception, Mom gave a speech. She said, "Gwendolyn has always been independent. She's built her life on her own, never needing anyone's help, not even ours. We're so proud of her." Everyone clapped, but I felt like something inside me broke. She had just turned all my hard work and sacrifice into a simple compliment about my independence. After the wedding, life went on as usual. We pretended everything was okay in our family, but deep down, I was hurt. Then, 3 months ago, Mom called and asked me to come over to fix her computer. I drove to the house I grew up in, a place full of memories that now felt like a lie. After fixing the computer, a calendar notification popped up about a refund for a second reception for Amelia. I was confused. There was no mention of a second reception from anyone. As I was about to leave, I saw Mom's purse on the kitchen counter, open. I knew I shouldn't have looked, but after everything I'd been through, I felt I had the right. I pulled out a receipt, and it was for a $45,000 refund from the waterfront resort where Amelia's wedding was held. It was for a 1-year anniversary party that Mom had planned and then canceled. I took a photo of the receipt and left. I drove to a coffee shop parking lot and sat there, trying to process what I'd just discovered. I wondered if Dad knew about this. I spent the next week gathering more information. I called the resort under a fake name and found out that Mom had canceled the party 75 days before the event to get a full refund. It was obvious she had planned this carefully. I decided to talk to Dad first. I met him at a local diner. I asked him if he knew about the second reception for Amelia. His face went blank, and he said he had no idea. And when he found out that Amelia had separated from Leo a month before my wedding and no one had told me, he looked ashamed. He also told me that he hadn't checked the joint account in years because Mom handled everything. When he checked, there was no record of the $45,000 refund being deposited. I confronted the family at a meeting at my parents' house. I showed them the receipt and the calendar notification. Mom said that it was supposed to be a surprise for Amelia and that it was paid for with her personal savings. I lost my temper. I told them about all the sacrifices I'd made for my wedding, selling Ethan's car, raiding my retirement fund, and giving up my honeymoon. I said, "You said you couldn't help me, but all this time, you had money hidden away for Amelia's party?" Amelia tried to defend Mom, saying I was making a big deal out of it and that I was always independent. I told her about every single sacrifice I'd made, and her face turned red. I also found out that Mom had a secret account with $70,000 in it. Dad was heartbroken. He had trusted her completely, and he couldn't believe she had been hiding this from him. I told them that I didn't want the money. I just wanted to know if I mattered to this family. I said, "I'm done asking for understanding. I'm done being the one who needs less." I left the house that night, feeling a strange sense of relief. The lies and the pretending were finally over. It's been 2 months since then. Mom hasn't apologized. She sent me long texts explaining her actions but never said sorry. Amelia texted me once saying sorry, but when I asked for what, she never replied. Dad, though, has changed. He opened his own bank account for the first time in 36 years. He called me and said he was sorry for not protecting me better. I forgave him because I knew he was also a victim of mom's secrecy. Last week, Ethan and I signed the lease for a new 2-bedroom apartment. It's close to the hospital, and we paid the deposit ourselves. As I look back on everything, I've realized that being seen and loved shouldn't come with conditions. I'm choosing myself now, and I'm ready to build a life based on honesty and love. If you've ever been the one in your family who had to be strong all the time, drop a comment. Let me know you're out there.